Tomorrow is back, bringing you fantasy football advice today to help you win your leagues tomorrow. On today's show, we have 5 dirty little secrets to make sure you win every trade offer. Now, don't forget before we start to like, hit that bell, subscribe, and just like these subscribers did, comment your trade because you can be featured in future videos, and we are making sure to answer every comment we get. So let's hop right into this. We have Pete for the first guy. Thank you for the comment, Pete. And he's asking Mixon or Taylor rest of the season. The dirty little secret number 1 is aim for upside. My plain answer is Taylor. We've seen what Mixon has done behind that line. He doesn't get much time. He's getting the receptions, yes, but he's averaging almost 3 yards a carry. It's just not look good. So you really want to aim for upside with this with Jonathan Taylor, the number 1 running back last year. And we know as well as that he has a high speed score, can break a long touchdown, which is very hard to find. And yes, he has been injured, but I want to be the first to say that I think he can be a top 5 back rest of the season. So give me the upside. So our next trade here is from Daniel Hope. Thank you again for commenting. He says, I can trade away Mostert plus either Sutton or Boyd for Chris Godwin. I am in a half PPR, and my running backs wide receivers are running back Austin Eckler, DeAndre Swift, Raheem Mostert, Khalil Herbert, and White. His wide receivers are Chris Olave, Sutton, Tyler Boyd, and Chase. Then he says, should I pull the trigger? And if yes, with Sutton or Boyd? I feel like I could use Godwin in this time. Chase is not healthy and can slot Herbert a spot start in my running back core. And maybe Mostert loses some value with Jeff Wilson coming to Miami. That comes to our dirty little secret number 2. Always trade for the best player in the deal. It's 95% of the time going to work out best for you that way. So this guy really laid out his trade nice and clean. This helps me really get to give you the best answer. The best player in the deal is Godwin. And as well as that, he says Sutton or Boyd. Now, I like how he preferenced all of his players because I know he has Chase, and Godwin can feel that Boyd hole, so he'll still have a good... that Boyd hole is a big hole to fill. But with Chris Olave, Sutton, and Godwin waiting for Chase to get back, he has efficient number of wide receivers to fill that void. So I wouldn't want Boyd right now. I would rather have Courtland Sutton, who has upside throughout the rest of the season in case anything else happens, even when Jamar Chase comes back. So give me, in this particular thing, give me Sutton over Boyd. And our next trade is from Josiah. He says, should I trade Mostert, Boyd, and Cooper for Jacob and Juju? I could try to get Hines too. If you get Hines, that's a cool plus. That brings me to dirty little secret number 3. Know your team. It's very hard to tell this trade without knowing your roster. So I'm going to revert back to the last point of I want the best player in the deal, and that's Josh Jacobs. Now, I don't think he'll be a top 5 back rest of season like he's been performing, but he's still easily a top 10 back rest of season, and those don't come on vines. They are very hard to find. Cooper has done great, and maybe he'll do better once Watson comes back into town. Without getting any context to this and knowing your team, that I'm going to just go for Jacobs and Juju, and if you do this trade, definitely make sure to try to trade Juju with Kadarius Toney coming into town. We don't know exactly how that wide receiver core is going to shake out, so I'd like to trade Juju if you could for a guy like Tyler Lockett that doesn't have that name value. And Juju just had a big week last time he played while Tyler Lockett had a dud. So I'd be looking to do that after this move. Know your team and know what trade can allow you to have the most amount of points to make your team perform at its max each week. So this is always knowing your team for every trade you do. Our next trade is from asking for a friend, so I'm not going to say his name. He said, friend traded Waddle and Waller for Gabe Davis and Jonathan Taylor. He kind of regrets it. Should he be positive or was it a bad move? And this is dirty little secret number 4. If you are under 500 and you're really struggling to get into the playoffs, and let's say you have a guy like Leo Fournette who has a bye week on week 11, go check who you play on week 11 to make sure that you can trade that guy to him. And by the time you play him, he's a player down while you're also a player up in that week, giving you a huge advantage compared to what you would have had to sneak away to sneak yourself into the playoffs and kind of buy a couple wins if you're in that necessity. Don't worry, your friend did not make a bad move. He traded for a top 5 running back. Yes, I understand the Colts won't be able to establish a run like they like with Sam Ehlinger under helm, but you can expect them as a run first QB to be more like a Falcons offense, just overdoing the run, not putting the pressure on this guy. And with Nyheim Hines out of town, you can also expect Jonathan Taylor to see an uptick in receptions. As well as that, you got Gabe Davis. He is around that Waller tier. I personally would prefer Gabe Davis just a little bit more with Waller's hamstring injury, and you don't know if he can get back to full health this year. So I think you did an absolute steal.